Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for the Tech Guy is provided by Cachefly. CACHEFLY.com. Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Radio Networks on Sunday, December 4th, 2011. This is episode 828. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by Ford, featuring available voice-activated Sync. Sync gives you versatile access to music, podcasts, and more from just about any device. Check it out in the new 2012 Ford Focus and at Ford.com/technology. And by Gazelle, the easy way to sell or recycle most any used electronic gadget from your home or office. Don't just sell it, Gazelle it. Gazelle your used gadgets today at Gazelle.com. Well, a good day to you. How are you today, Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy, and it's time to talk computers, internet, cell phones, for sure. Home theater. Scott Wilkinson will join us in half an hour. He's going to be here all weekend, next weekend, by the way. So if you've got home theater questions, Scott will be there to answer them. I'm taking off for Paris tomorrow for the silliest named conference ever, Le Web. The French have Le Weekend, Le Pullover, and Le Web. Le Web is a French conference. Actually, the guy who runs it is an American. Well, he's a Frenchman who lives in America. He's Louis Lemur, who is a great entrepreneur who felt like, well, I just can't be entrepreneurial enough in Europe, so I'm going to come to the States. They don't have in Europe the same kind of infrastructure. It's interesting, really, for innovation that we have here in the States. So Loic thought he would kind of promote American-style entrepreneurialism in Europe by doing a yearly conference in which he'd bring American entrepreneurs to Paris to talk about how it works, to talk about what they're up to breed that culture of innovation in Europe. I went last year. It was really fascinating. Met a number of European entrepreneurs who have that great spirit. It's not that they aren't as bright or as talented, and there are some great European startups. Let's not forget Skype, Spotify. There are some amazing European startups, but the problem there is, well, there are a few. First of all, of course, there are many languages. We have in the U.S. one language. That's handy. If you create a company in Poland, for instance, and you do a Polish, let's say you do a Polish app, and there are quite a few for the iPhone. Well, but it's not of use anywhere outside of Poland, so that you have a naturally narrow audience. There's also the issue of not having a mature venture capital system. We have here in the States this kind of amazing system where people who have lots of money, with the very, very wealthy, need to invest it. And, they're not content with CDs or the stock market. They're willing to take some of their money and put into high-risk, high-reward investments, startups. And they look at some of the great success stories like Google and Apple. And, these companies came out of nowhere, and because of the insane growth of technology, made their investors a lot, billions of dollars. So they're looking for that same big score, and they know in the U.S. we know that most of those investments will fail, but we're looking for the big score, and that's something that's interesting. I've been told. Now I'm not speaking as an expert on this, but I've been told by European entrepreneurs and Louis himself that the problem is that they don't have a culture. Besides not having the culture of venture capitalism, the banks there and the investors are a little more conservative. They don't want to invest in something that is such a risk, but they also. And this is even more telling. Brent Hoberman, who is a serial entrepreneur in Great Britain, really neat guy who's done very well, billionaire himself, with a number, I think 3 or 4 very successful startups, said what we lack is the culture of failure. I said, what? What? A culture of failure? He said, yeah, the reason, the most important thing in the U.S. in terms of innovation is it is not a failure is not a demerit. You don't get, it's not a strike against you. And in fact, lack of failure is often a demerit. When startup companies, when venture capitalists, when angel investors look at your resume, if you don't have any failures in there, often they say, well, you haven't tried hard enough. And having a failed startup or two is no failure and will not be a mark against you. And I thought that was very interesting. He said we need to cultivate in Europe and particularly in the UK a culture of where failure is okay. And I think Thomas Edison said something about failure. Let me see if I can look that up. There's a famous Edison quote about failure, and you know it's really true. He said Thomas Edison failed more than 1,000 times when trying to invent the light bulb. Remember that? He was trying to find a filament. He and his team were trying to find a filament that wouldn't burn out, and they tried everything. Carbonized cotton thread and so forth. He said, I am not discouraged because every wrong attempt discarded is another step forward. I have not failed, said Thomas Edison. I've just found 10,000 ways it won't work. And it's that attitude that we have had in this country since day one, I think, that really marks us as unusual and is one of the reasons that so many amazing innovations in technology have come from this country. It's something we really can celebrate in the U.S. And I think it is something that can be replicated and is being replicated around the world. A little more difficult in countries where the culture doesn't celebrate failure or doesn't even allow failure. I guess we celebrate our failures to some degree. We certainly celebrate our Edisons. 8888 Ask Leo is the number to call if you have a question. You want to talk about tech, 888-827-5536. That's toll-free in the U.S. Now, we do have many listeners all over the world. Fully a third of our audience for this show and all the shows that I do on the Internet are global, outside the U.S. And that's, that's one of the magic things about the Internet. It's a global medium. One of my devices just played a bugle charge. Yes, onward. So if you're outside the U.S., you could still call in. We'd love to have you. All you have to do is use Skype because it's a toll-free number, 888-827-5536, toll-free from anywhere in the U.S. and around the world if you use Skype. The website is techguylabs.com. I do encourage you to visit the website. I admit it's not the most elegant, but it's functional. We actually are designing a new site. But for now, you can go there and you can find links to everything we've talked about in 828 shows. Is that right? 800? Wow. 828 shows. All the notes are there. Audio is available for many of them. Audio and video for the last few years. And the most important link there is the chat room. Love to have you in the chat room. We learn so much in there. I consider them my brain externalized. You want to join them? You just go to techguylabs.com, click the chat link. It's moderated, it's safe, and there's 720 people. Now there'll be 1,000 before the show's over that you can say hello to. You can even ask questions in there if you can't get through on the lines. 8888 Ask Leo. And it's a lot of fun in there. techguylabs.com. 19th anniversary today, actually was yesterday, of text messaging. I talked about this on the last show. The first text message was sent December 3rd, 1992, from a computer to a British cell phone, a Vodafone. It was the first SMS message. 19 years later, it is now, what did I say last? A $14 billion business. It's a huge business for the cell carriers. And I don't know, actually, I'd be very curious what the number of, I'm sure I can Google it, number of SMS messages sent daily has got to be in the billions? Yeah, don't you love the Google? This was a couple of years ago, 4.1 billion text messages a day, according to the CTIA, the Cell Phone Telecommunications Industry Association. In the U.S., That's up from practically zero just a few years ago because, remember, we didn't use text messaging very much until recently because you couldn't text message across companies. If you were a Verizon customer, you couldn't text message somebody at AT&T. Once they fixed that, and I think once smartphones came out, people really started getting wild. 4.1 billion text messages a day. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Your call's coming up. It's good you brought that up.
I know. Thanks, Leo. Good work.
I got out of there.
You're a pro.
As quick as I could.
I looked over, I go, oh, no. It's
Oh, crap. Doesn't it trigger automatically?
It does, but I had it off.
Ah.
Because I always turn it off because they have that music embedded.
Right. That's the side effect of having the Skyrim trailers. Hey, I want to talk. Actually, I don't. Oh, I was going to show the stamps thing. I guess I don't get to do that today. I want to talk about Ford. You know, I think we have a lot of people who listen to this show on their smartphones or smart devices. Did you know you can listen in your Ford automobile? Because the Ford, now this, if you have the latest version of Sync with My Ford Touch, it supports AppLink, which means, Alan Mullally told me about this, but before they introduced it, he said, look, we realize people are going to iterate the smartphones much faster than we can iterate the car's capabilities in Sync. So what we're going to do is have an API and allow companies to write apps that talk to the car. And so Pandora was the first, Stitcher, Slacker, all of these, you can talk to your car. Are you using that? No.
We were just talking about it.
You were talking about it, yeah. So here, let me explain what Sync does. Sync is, of course, you got, you know, your hands on the wheel, your eyes on the road. We don't want to take our eyes off the road. We don't want to take our hands off the wheel. We're driving down the road. But we want to listen to the tech guy. So you press a button on the, right? So you better. So you press a button on the steering wheel. It goes, bong. I turn off voice prompts. You can have a voice prompt if you want, but mine just goes, bong. I go, Sync. I think I have to go audio, boom, Sync. And then I say, play the tech guy. And then it launches Stitcher and plays a tech guy show. Even if I haven't downloaded it ahead of time, Stitcher has it, gets it, and plays it. You could do that with music. You could do it with, I mean, the entertainment features of My Ford Touch are amazing. You can even, and this I didn't know, I only have the plain old Sync. With My Ford Touch, you can play videos or display photos from your digital camera or portable game device on the, you have a 7-inch screen on the console. You can't do that when the car's driving. Don't get your hopes up. Remember, eyes on the road. So only when your car is in park can you do that. They do have connections, though, for just about any device. There's USB ports, 2 in most of the My Ford Touch vehicles. There's SD card slots, so you can actually take music on an SD card and put it in your car and play it, or on a USB thumb drive. They have RCA jacks. I don't have that on mine, but that's what it says here. I have a phono plug, though, so I can take the audio out. But actually, the way I do it is with Bluetooth, A2DP stereo Bluetooth. So when I get in the car, I was just doing it. When I move my Mustang, my book starts. And when I get out of the car, it stops. It picks up exactly where it left off the next time I get in the car. It's amazing. But John's got a complaint. No. They can on mine. Oh, the nav uses the SD card for the maps. Got it. Okay, that's good to know. Okay, see, that's not on mine. Mine, I just plug in the USB. Anything USB, the USB port, it scans it, indexes it, and then it plays it. But you can't do it on the SD card. That's good to know. All right. I didn't know that, so I will stand corrected. Here's the thing to do. Go to your Ford dealer and test drive the 2012 Ford Focus, which has all these features and more. Or find out more at the website, ford.com/technology. If I had gone to the website and looked it up, I probably would have learned that. So the SD card is intended for the maps, not music, if you're using the GPS. Yeah. Well, that makes a lot of sense. Ford.com/technology. Check it out today. They have become a leader in consumer electronics, and they're an automaker. How do you like that? Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Back to the show we go.
Merry Christmas and the happiest of New Years.
We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Well, that's ancient. Where'd you find that?
1979.
1979. The great KGO in San Francisco. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. We wish you a happy holiday from you can't you can tell it's 79 because I don't think it would be politically correct these days to say we wish you a Merry Christmas. You have to say Happy Festivus or something. I don't know what they do anymore. Somebody in the chat room, Money 2004 says, sounds like 1959. You know, 79 wasn't that long ago to old people like me, but I guess it is. I mean, if you think about it, what is, it's 30 years ago? 32 years ago? That's a long time now. That's a long time. Let's go to the phones. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. We've got Gary on the line from, hold on a second. I got to. My Windows machine decided to do a maintenance update right in the middle of this. I'll get it. Line 1. Hi, Gary. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Don't you hate that when Windows just decides, hey, I don't care what you're doing, I'm going to update?
Oh, yeah. That's one of the reasons I regret ever going to Windows 7.
Drives me crazy.
Oh, Leo. I mean, of course, you remember me. I'm, bird photographer. Oh, my God.
Great to see you, Gary. Great to talk to you again.
You bet. Well, I finally decided to get a smartphone. I got a Samsung Stratosphere.
Oh, all right.
It has a gorgeous display. I mean, my God, when I compare it with my Samsung Reality, what a
difference. Well, Samsung's moved to those Super AMOLED displays that are just gorgeous.
Oh, absolutely.
The Stratosphere, really remind me, that's an Android phone, is it not?
Well, I'll tell you, Leo, when it comes to this tech stuff, when it comes to the phone, I mean,
you don't care. This is, by the way, listen, geeks, that's a real person. People don't know or care what processor, how much RAM, what operator. They just want to use the dang thing.
And, Leo, the reason I got this big display is because whenever I am teaching people how to use their cameras or I'm leading a bird walk, people say, Gary, I want to see your photos.
Right.
And that's the only reason I got this phone. And what's driving me insane about this thing, hey, Leo, number one, it's very complicated.
Yes, it is.
I mean, compared to my Reality, my God, it's just, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's Android, and it's, the Android is the Windows of phone operating systems, which means there's 100 different ways to do everything.
Right. Oh, as far as I'm concerned, it's a million different ways to do it.
Right, and geeks love that. We love to be able to tweak the thing like 7 ways from Sunday, but it doesn't make for an easy user interface.
I'll stick to working on cars, not cell phones.
Can you still work on cars? I thought that cars got too complicated, too.
Oh, no. I mean,
old cars.
You got to work on like what I have.
Old cars. Cars with spark plugs and timing belts. Yes, those kind of cars.
And a contributor with a rotor. You bet. Anyways, Leo, the thing that's bothering me about this phone, and like I said, I absolutely love it. I am petrified to even get it running because it's just so complicated. And the other thing is I'm looking here on the internet. Is there a way to operate this phone without a data plan?
No.
Really?
This is a big negative of smartphones in general. Is the carriers? One of the reasons carriers love them is because they're going to get 80, 90, $100 a month out of you.
Yeah.
They're making thousands on these smartphones, and so they pretty much. I mean, you're on AT&T. Is that the?
No, I'm on Verizon.
Oh yeah, you're out of luck.
Yeah, I know.
Verizon will absolutely require you have a data plan. Sometimes with a GSM carrier, T-Mobile or AT&T, you can get clever and put a SIM card in a different phone and not tell them it's a data phone. Now, you can't use data because then they'll charge you through the roof. If you don't have a data plan, data a la carte is very expensive.
This does have a SIM card in. It has what's called a micro SIM card.
Yeah, okay, Verizon maybe is doing it as a global phone then.
They call it 4 LTE or something?
Yeah, they're using the 4G network, but Verizon uses, this is way into the weeds, and I'm sure more than you could even care about, Gary, but Verizon is a CDMA carrier. That means they don't need a SIM card. T-Mobile and AT&T are GSM. That's what they use around the world. They use these little SIM cards. But Verizon, in order to work globally, on many of their phones, including the iPhone that they offer, have a slot for SIM cards so that you can use them globally on the GSM network. And I suspect that's what's happening with this Samsung. But that's what's going to happen with all phones going forward, because if you're Samsung or LG or HTC, you don't want to make 2 different kinds of phones. You want to make, or Apple, you want to make one phone that works on all networks.
I'll be honest, Leo, I think I'm just going to keep this phone disabled as a phone and just keep it as an active display device.
Well, that's, for people who...
An iPod Touch.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. For people who want the smartphone without the data plan, get an iPod Touch.
Exactly. So
And
I guess I just look at it as...
Think of it that way. Don't activate it.
I got a free iPod Touch.
Well, yeah. I don't know how free it is. If you don't activate it, they're gonna want it back.
Exactly.
They're gonna charge you for it.
Yeah, that's true.
I like the Super AMOLED display. Now, let me talk a little bit about it because, you know, all these Samsung phones, including the new Galaxy Nexus, which is a very hot phone, the Samsung Windows Phone on AT&T, all of them are using these AMOLED displays, which are beautiful. They have very dark blacks. Some of them are what we call pentile displays, and color rendition on them may not be quite as accurate as you'd like. You're a photographer, you probably pay a lot of attention to color, especially for birds. Are the colors accurate?
Well, here's the thing. If I compare the Samsung Reality, compare it with the same exact photo to the Samsung Stratosphere, I'm noticing the Stratosphere is a little bit oversaturated and a little bit greener.
That's right.
Meaning, if I'm photographing a black bird that has a green tint.
Yes.
And matter of fact, I tried asking the people at Verizon, why is this happening? They said, well, it's because of the display device.
It's the nature of the display. So this is exactly right. And some people complain about this, and I was curious what you would think. I don't think Super AMOLED displays are actually accurate. But people like them because they have very rich blacks. And for a smartphone, maybe not for photo display, but for a smartphone, that's great. Have really good saturation, maybe oversaturation, and really rich blacks. Now, the green tint, Gary, is probably not the display, but the software. So just as with a computer display, you can have a color profile that says, hey, this display is blue like this, display green like this, yellow like this. And that sounds like a software issue more than a display issue. If you get green with your camera phone pictures, that's another thing. That is often the case with camera phones. I found that on a number of Samsung camera phones. They tend to go to the green end of the spectrum. They're greener than the white balance is a little green. But the display, if it's displaying a picture you took, let's say with your SLR that you loaded into the camera, if it's a little greenish, that is a software issue, I believe, not a display issue. What you will see with the display, the Super AMOLED displays, though, is blacker blacks and deeper saturation, and maybe an unnatural, for some people, unnatural saturation. I think still Apple's iPhone is probably the best color reproduction and resolution available now. The negative on the iPhone is only a 3.5-inch display. That's awfully small. You know, it looks good if you get it right up close to your face, but it's awfully small. Another interesting choice, Web 1561 is suggesting in our chat room, is an iPad. An iPad is only 1024 by 768. It's not super high resolution, but I think the colors are very accurate. And another advantage that the iPad has is it's big. It's big. And no data plan. You don't have to get a data plan. You just do Wi-Fi. I think the iPad 2 is probably a good choice for that. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Scott Wilkinson is our home theater guy. He is the online editor for Home Theater Magazine. You'll find him at hometheater.com. He does a weekly poll. What was your poll this past week?
Let's see. This poll was, does power consumption influence your TV buying decision? Tom Norton, my colleague, had measured the power consumption of a couple of different plasmas and a couple of different LCD TVs, and found that the difference in power consumption was a factor of 5.
Wow. Plasma, of course, the most.
The most, yeah. The plasmas were consuming 250-some watts,
wow.
And the LCDs like 50.
Wow. Now, I thought plasmas were getting more energy efficient.
They are. They are.
So that's the improved ones?
I'm afraid so. And that's
Holy
even
cow.
with calibrated TVs.
Wow.
You know, if you take them out of the box and measure them in torch mode, which is what they use in the store, you know, it's going to be far more.
Yeah.
So
torch mode, is that what they call that? Super bright mode?
That's what we call it in the biz.
Torch mode. Wow. So what was the result of the poll?
80% roughly of readers who have responded so far have said, no, it makes no influence. It has no influence on my buying decision. What they want, apparently, and you can see that in the comments, is they want picture quality, and they think that TV power consumption is pretty minimal compared to other things. even plasmas at 250 watts or whatever it is. One guy wrote in and said, yeah, well, I've got a 1,000-watt amplifier on my surrounds. And my
Although a 1,000-watt amplifier is not using 1,000 watts.
Well, no, not
That's
generally.
capable of using 1,000 watts, but I'm sure most of the time he's not using 1,000 watts.
No, that's true. Interestingly,
unless he's having concerts in his house.
Right. On the other hand, power amps are relatively inefficient, not counting Class D digital amplifiers, which are quite efficient. But generally speaking, other than that, they're not very efficient. So every watt that it generates of power, it's drawing several watts from the wall.
Interesting. Interesting. So it could be 4,000 watts if you.
It could. On the other hand, when most people are listening to audio, they're listening to only a few watts.
Right.
They're not really listening to the full range that the amplifier can produce. Yeah. If they did, their ears would bleed.
Mm-hmm. It certainly hurt.
So, it would hurt, dude.
So, let's talk about. I know you have questions. You get questions from your readership all the time. Let's answer a couple of questions.
Let's do. I got a couple of quickies here for you. One fellow, David, asks about the quality of the audio signal coming out of an HD TV's speaker outputs. He wants to hook up a pair of Audio Engine A5 powered speakers, which these are really called. You have them right there.
I use them on my. I know we've had this conversation. I have pair of stereo speakers hooked up to my Kuro. Not surround sound, but they're the Audio Engine A5s, and I love them.
They're great. It's a great pair of speakers. They're powered speakers. You've got them hooked up directly to your TV outs, right?
Yes.
So it's the same question as David is asking, and he wants to know, if the quality's good, and the answer is yes.
It's excellent.
You can attest to that. It's very good.
Yeah.
But then he asks, is it possible to get true Dolby, True HD, or DTS HD using this type of setup? Well, Dolby True HD and DTS HD are the lossless audio codecs. You were talking yesterday about video codecs, coder-decoder. It's the way that audio gets encoded for transmission. And the answer to that question is no.
Unless your TV had a decoder.
Which virtually no TVs do.
They just assume you're going to have an AV receiver that will do the work.
Correct. The Dolby, they don't have a decoder for Dolby True HD or DTS HD.
Right.
They do have decoders for Dolby Digital, which is what comes out. Most TVs have an optical digital audio output.
And that would be Dolby coming out of that.
Right. It would be Dolby Digital,
not DTS.
Which is lossy, which loses quality.
If most Blu-ray players would do it, though, wouldn't they?
Yes, absolutely.
Should he hook up his Audio Engine A5s to his Blu-ray player?
Yes, I would say that would be a better way to go, because then the Blu-ray player probably will decode Dolby True HD and DTS HD to analog.
But of course, then when your wife wants to watch Dr. Phil, it'll be silent because Dr. Phil's coming through the cable box or the satellite box.
Exactly.
So this is why people buy AV receivers, let's face it.
Yes, exactly.
Then
and why I generally recommend AV receivers.
Right. Yeah. I have the TV's going to get everything. I don't care about whatever the heck you're talking about. Sounds good to me. It's stereo. It's loud. That's all I need.
But it probably doesn't get down into the bass region, though.
Well, you can't get the audio engines aren't. First of all, not that little. They're fairly large, and they have good bass response. And you can also Audio Engine makes a very nice subwoofer. So you could put a 400 watt. I don't, but you could put a 400 watt subwoofer. I don't really need to shake the floor when I watch movies.
No, but even if you don't listen to bass at a loud volume, it's nice to have those really low frequencies there. Of course, being a tuba player, I prefer the low frequencies.
I've been watching you on TV, and it just sounds terrible. Now I understand why. It sounds like a trumpet.
Yeah, see?
All right. So, no, I like those audio engines quite a bit. They're powered speakers. They also make a smaller set for computers. I use them upstairs on my computer. Henry, who makes music, uses Logic, has the A5s with the powered subwoofer, and he is able to, I am not kidding, literally rattle the walls of the house. When he turns his bass up, the whole house buzzes. It vibrates. So They're very if you do want a good bass system, I think the audio engines are excellent.
You know, I have
Very
never
accurate.
actually heard them, but I'm taking your word for it absolutely because and a lot of other people who say they're very good as well.
Yeah, they're not horribly expensive. I can't remember, $400 a pair, something like that. And you don't need an amp. They're self-powered.
Right, they're powered.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That is a big advantage.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And because they make their own subwoofer. Now, let me ask you this, because in the old days of component stereo, you'd have a crossover circuit. You'd have to tune everything just right so that the low-end frequencies would go to the right place. It seems like I'm just plugging in the subwoofer into the audio engine. They have a little port, and it just does it.
Yeah, yeah. The subwoofer itself has a crossover in it.
So it knows, don't do anything over a certain frequency.
Correct.
Just take the 200 hertz or lower or whatever it is.
Or whatever it is, and play below. Typically, with 200 hertz is a little high. It'd probably be below 125 or so. In a home theater, it's below 80.
Really?
Play that.
You want the rumble.
You want the rumble from the subwoofer, and then it passes everything else off to the main speakers.
I'm pulling out my Uber 10 here.
Look at that! Oh my God, that's a huge. That's a really nice subwoofer.
This is a great 300 watt subwoofer, and it has crossover frequency settings on it from 40 hertz.
Yeah.
I guess human hearing doesn't go below 20. You feel it though.
Yes. Well, you can hear down to 20 roughly, and you can feel below that.
And then the upper frequency is 180 hertz.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you wanted more, what would you do? I mean, what would I understand? You know, technically what turning up the frequency would do, it means that the subwoofer would reproduce those higher frequencies. But what would that sound like?
Well, the subwoofer, that's a pretty big subwoofer you got there, buddy. And so it wouldn't necessarily do the higher frequencies all that well. It depends ultimately on what kind of main speakers you've got and how low they can go.
So you want the crossover frequency to be at least as high as the lowest that the main speakers are doing.
Correct.
Scott Wilkinson, hometheater.com. Thank you. We'll see you next weekend. Apparently we now have a tuba requiem.
That's tuba verum, right? A tuba requiem is there.
That's a tuba?
No, it's a trombone, actually.
Oh, all right.
It's Mozart. Good on you, Kyle.
Kyle Benham found a tuba piece. It's a little depressing, but he found a tuba piece of Mozart Requiem. Hey, thank you, Scott Wilkinson. Scott Wilkinson, our home theater expert. When we came back, I wanted to mention that Scott will be here next weekend for the full weekend for both shows. So if you have home theater questions, this is the guy. Scott Wilkinson. We'll talk to you next week, Scott. Thank you so much.
You bet.
Take care. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, taking your tech questions. Save the home theater for next week. Gary, Culver City, you're next. Welcome, Gary.
Hey, Leo.
Hey.
Enjoy your show.
Thank you.
And I just got my first Android phone.
Okay.
In fact, it's my first smartphone. But
I think that's good. I think that's good.
Yeah, I waited. I'm in my home studio all the time, so it wasn't necessary. But I'm now excited to have it, and I'm a Mac guy. I've been using Mac for I don't know, many years, and everything's in iTunes. And I'm just wondering, as far as putting music into the thing, is there a way to use my playlists? Is there any way to?
Yes, absolutely. There's a program called TWiT that you want to download. It's free. TWiT.com. It's a great Android choice. In fact, it does over-the-air syncing over Wi-Fi. So if you have a Wi-Fi network and you come into the house with your Android phone and it's on that network, if TWiT is running on your desktop, it'll see it and it'll say, "Oh, good, let me sync up." Just as, by the way, iTunes does with Apple phones now. That's something new they just added. TWiT has been doing it for some time. So AirSync is not free. That's kind of how they make a little money, because TWiT itself is free. It's available as a player on Android. It's an excellent Android music player, and as a desktop app for Windows or Mac, and it will sync your phone, your podcasts. It even does apps now.
And playlists, all the music.
All of that stuff. It will import your iTunes playlists.
Awesome.
Yeah, good choice. It's a really great program. It's what I use because I'm a little platform agnostic on cell phones. I use both. Right now I'm using the iPhone a lot, and I'm going to Paris tomorrow, as I mentioned, and I will be probably bringing the iPhone because it's on AT&T, and I could put an international data plan on there, and it's just easier for me to do that. But I love Android. I'm a huge Android fan. In fact, I'm hoping before I leave to be able to get the Galaxy Nexus phone. I had hoped to have it this weekend. This is the hot new Android phone from Samsung, and it was back ordered. That will be available in the States. It's been available in England. That's where I got it, and parts of Europe for some week or so. It'll be available in the States, I believe, I've been told by my sources, on Verizon Friday, December 9th. And if you haven't yet bought an Android phone and you are willing to be on Verizon or are already on Verizon, this would be a great phone to look at. The Galaxy Nexus. It's the first Android phone to use the latest version of Android called Ice Cream Sandwich. People are very excited about it. So yeah, and absolutely, Double Twist is a must-have. In fact, if you're new to Android, another thing that's I think a great thing to have is there's an application management program that I really like called App Brain. And what App Brain does is it'll sync your app list to the internet, which is handy when you get a new phone, by the way, because you can have it automatically copy your apps over to the new phone or a selection thereof. But more so, it also gives you recommendations based on what you've already got and what others are using. It's a social network, so you can share your apps with others. I've shared my apps. If you, I have to look at my name on AppBrain, but it's really great. Everybody, and it's free also. Everybody who has an Android phone should have Double Twist and AppBrain. And then from there, lots of other choices. Actually, I'm talking a little bit about a social network that has suddenly become very hot that's on mobile only. Right? Shane, Wyoming, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Shane.
Hi, Leo. Thanks for taking my call.
Thanks for calling. What can I do for you?
Yeah, I heard what you said. Let's hope it's for good reasons that I want to get around to. Can I tell you what happened?
Yes.
Last night, we're at my wife's mother's house, the mother-in-law's house, having supper. And after supper, she was going to show us pictures of her recent Hawaiian vacation. Well, while we were eating, our 9-year-old son was playing on the computer, and he reset her password. And when he did it, he just smacked keys. He did kind of a
Why did he do that?
He's a firebomber. I don't know why.
He's old enough to know better.
He's old enough to know better. And
that's mischief making.
That could be,
Is it Windows? What version?
XP.
And he changed which password?
It's the user password when you first boot up the system, and she just has one user.
Yeah, so that may be good news. There is, in many XP installs, a hidden admin account.
Okay.
Right? So, I'm asking Ronnie, right? So, I think they stopped doing this on more recent versions of Windows, but it is very common for some reason on XP. And I think it might have more to do with not Microsoft, but the companies that set up the computers. When they first set up the computers in XP, they often don't turn on. They don't give a password to the admin account. They leave it and they don't give it a password. So that's kind of a flaw. In fact, it's a way to get into it and to solve this problem. So first thing to do is to log in as not the name that's on there, which is your mother-in-law's name, but as admin. Is that right? No, administrator. Capital A? Can't remember. I think it's just administrator. I don't think the capitalization matters. And hit return. Don't put in a password. And if you're lucky, boom, you're in there. Now you can open the assist user accounts in the control panel and change your mother-in-law's password back because you have full admin access.
Will I have to know the password?
There is no administrator password. It's blank.
Okay.
That's why I said hit return. It's blank, which is a mistake. There are, if that is not on this machine, if the person who set it up was smart enough not to, to give it a password or to disable that, feature, then and you can't log in as an administrator with a blank password, then there are programs like LoftCrack, L-O-P-H-T crack. They're basically hacker programs that will crack it. XP's password system wasn't particularly good. Okay. So you can get in there. There's a open source version of LoftCrack called OphCrack, ophcrack.sourceforge.net. My chat room says that's even better.
Oh, awesome! Love that.
But I don't think you'll need. Yeah, the chat room's great. I don't think you'll need that. I think that just just see if this works. Type administrator, hit return twice to say no password. And often in most cases, I shouldn't even tell people this. In most cases, it just goes boom. Now, do you have to be in safe mode to do that, or can you do that from any mode? Might not hurt to boot into safe mode just to be safe. Make sure there's nothing else running. So reboot, press F8 when it says, starting up. Press tap F8 before Windows starts up. When you get into safe mode, admin or administrator blank password. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Leo Laporte here, the tech guy, and it's time to get techie. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number if you want to call with a question, a comment, a suggestion. 888-827-5536. The phone number from Canberra, Australia. Samuel's been waiting for the longest time from halfway around the world. What is it? Is it late at night in Canberra? How late is it, Samuel?
Hi, Leo. It's 7 in the morning.
Oh, it's nothing. You just got up and joined us.
Indeed.
Thank you. Nice to have you.
Yeah, likewise. Great to talk to you again. I interviewed you a few years back on my podcast.
Oh, what's the name of your podcast?
Samuel's Persiflage.
I remember. That's great. Are you still doing it?
It's been a few months since I have, but when I get a chance, yeah.
Yeah, it's not unusual. When podcasting first started in 2005, there were tens of thousands of podcasts. But the problem is it's a lot of work. Doing it, and people just kind of fade. They call it pod fade, where they just they do it a little less, little less, little less, little less. It's like blogging. I've blog faded. I blog post every 6 months now. It's just too much work.
Yeah, I've done something a bit like that as well. I used to have about 4 blog posts a day, and now it's sort of one every week or two.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to talk to you again, Samuel.
Yeah, likewise. Great. I'm watching you on the camera too. I like the decorations in the room there.
We've got it kind of Christmas-fied with a large wreath, and we've changed the lighting to red and green. So we're in that mood, that holiday mood. Of course, you're in the middle of summer, aren't you, in Canberra?
I am, but it doesn't mean that it's particularly warm. We got down, let me try and convert this to Fahrenheit. We got down to about 36, 37 last night.
Yikes, that's cold. I've often wondered, because all of the iconography of the holiday season is about snow. It's so Eurocentric. It's, Christmas trees in the snow, and it's a winter solstice. But south of the equator, it's the summer. Does that make it weird for you, or do you just kind of go, well, it's summer for us. Christmas is in summer.
Yeah, we just have our barbecues outside in the nice warm weather.
You just laugh at us. The snow. There's no snow.
Pretty much.
You crazy Northern Hemispherites. Well, what can I do for you, Samuel?
Well, Leo, I'm calling because my mum wants to use the computer for email and games and things like that, but she just finds the whole desktop environment of Windows and even the Mac a bit too confusing.
Yeah.
I remember back on the Macs, System 7, System 8, there was a thing called At Ease, which is a bit similar to the iPhone interface, I guess.
Right.
Just had big buttons for applications, and the administrator could set which applications were available. It just made the whole thing a lot easier and a bit less intimidating. I was wondering if you know of anything similar on Windows, or if you really think we should just go for an iPad, which I'd be happy to do. I'm just a bit concerned that the little puppy dog might chew it up.
I do think the iPad's a good choice, but you know that OS X still has, in effect, At Ease. It's called Simple Finder now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, if you go to this, well, you can turn it on from the parental controls system preference panes. And it gives you absolute control. It makes it much easier. And, it's funny because it's in parental controls. I guess one would make the presumption, this must be for kids, but in fact, it's for anybody who wants to simplify the interface. So you can have selected applications on the desktop. You can control what mom can do, what kind of content and so forth, because it is parental control, so obviously you're not going to limit that. But you could put those big icons on the desktop just as, you know, At Ease used to do. It really is their version of At Ease. And in fact, I do believe Apple's moving more and more. I've called it the iOSification of OS 10, more towards the iOS or the iPad, iPhone interface on the desktop. And I think that they're making a lot of moves in that direction. Lion is a first step, but I think as time goes by on the Mac, it's going to really be and this is going to happen with Windows 8, by the way. Microsoft's doing the same thing, that in both cases, the desktop will be very much like the tablet. However, until that happens, I think for a lot of people who aren't geeks, an iPad's a great choice. My mom has both a laptop, an Apple laptop, and an iPad, and she loves the iPad. And you said your mom just wants to do email and games.
Pretty much, yeah.
This is great for it. Now, the only limitation would be if the games are Flash-based. You know, does she use Yahoo games?
No, not really. Just, I mean, she'd pretty much be happy to just play solitaire or other simple card games, which I'm sure there's a gazillion apps for that.
There's great card games on the iPad, and in fact, you know, I play Scrabble with my mom. It's a great way to stay in touch with her. There's a program called Words with Friends. It's kind of a Scrabble alike that's on the iPad that lets you play with people across the internet. It's wonderful. There are quite a few things like that. I'm not if you can keep it out of the dog's mouth. I think the iPad is, for many people who don't want the complexity of a computer, a much simpler choice.
Okay.
But now you have the choice, because there is this simple finder in OS 10, which is essentially a rebranded At Ease. It does everything At Ease did.
You know, I tried to set up Program Manager back when they still included it in Windows to try and work a bit like At Ease, but just never managed to get it there. It's
At Ease, or Simple Finder in this case, really turns your desktop or your laptop pretty much into an iPad.
All right, well, that's given me some stuff to think about, and that certainly solves a few issues. Thank you very much.
Great to talk to you again, and thanks for joining us from Canberra. That's great. Or Canberra, I should say.
Yeah, we call it Canberra. But everyone else calls it Canberra.
Canberra. I got to get it right. Thank you, Samuel.
Take care,
Take
Leo.
care. Samuel called via Skype. You can do the same if you're outside the U.S. The number is 1-888-827-5536. And if you use Skype, it's toll-free internationally, because it's a toll-free number inside the continental. No, actually, all of the U.S. Chris, Riverside, California. You're next. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Chris.
Hey, Leo. How's it going, sir?
Wonderful. How you doing?
Pretty good. Thanks for taking my call. Appreciate it.
Happy holidays.
Oh, likewise. I had a quick question. I'm a college student, and I was looking in getting into or getting a laptop, but I didn't want to spend you know, a whole lot of money. And the thing that kind of sucks though is like I game as well, but I'm not like all in gamer. You know, like 6 hours a day, and it's like kind of casual gaming. But I still want a decent laptop to be able to run it on. But I kind of just wanted to spend around maybe, I don't know, $600 or so, because I know those gaming laptops can cost upwards of over $1,000.
Yeah, don't get a gaming laptop. It's I think that's an oxymoron anyway. They're better for gaming because they have more high-end stuff, which means they're bigger, they're heavier, less battery life, and they're still not good for gaming.
Okay.
So if you're getting a laptop, just kind of live with the fact that it's not going to be a great gaming thing, and if it's casual gaming, it'll be fine. I mean, if it's World of Warcraft or Skyrim or Modern Warfare 3, maybe not so great. But for casual gaming, just it'd be fine.
Yeah, no, it wouldn't be anything like that. I don't know if it'd be some RTS. I don't know if you ever heard of like Dota or League of Legends or something similar.
Yeah, that's easy. That's easy. Any laptop should be able to play those.
Okay, awesome. And then also quick too is for the processors, what is right now is it Intel or AMD making better ones right now?
It's Intel, and it has been for some time. However, in budget price, the Phenoms, the AMDs, are not bad, and you may get a much better deal on an AMD because they're just not as desirable.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with the AMDs, but for a while, boy, I was rooting for AMD. They were really keeping Intel honest. They were keeping the prices down, performance up. We wouldn't have, I don't believe, we would have Core 2 processors or the new i5, i3, i5, and 7 processors if it weren't for AMD driving Intel. But they drove them a little too well. and unfortunately, Intel said, okay, and they lapped them. So, I mean, the Core 2 and even the i3 are going to be fine. If you get a better deal with the AMD, though, don't turn away from it. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. No one's going to know what that is, Kyle.
Did somebody say Skyrim?
Leo Laporte, the tech guy. This is another YouTube meme that I just love. There's some really funny YouTube memes out there. A meme is, how do I describe a meme? It's an idea that kind of takes a life of its own. So one of the YouTube memes that this was an example of is called a literal trailer. And I don't know if it's just one guy that does this or a bunch of them. But he takes the trailer, in this case for Skyrim, which is a very hot game, a game I'm totally addicted to, can't stop playing, in which you fight dragons. It's really fun. And he takes the trailer, which just has instrumental, and sings what he sees, literally. And it's very... Play a little bit more of it, Kyle. Do you still have it there? Because I think
this fight for such his voice went to ride. It went to a mountain town and a forest. Stop for the night. In the morning, past the windmill to a natural stone rocky boom.
I guess you have to be looking at the video while you're hearing this guy sing it, because he's describing just what he's singing. But it's very funny. Anyway, that's the literal trailer meme. There's also a very funny bad lip dub meme or bad lip reading meme that's just hysterical, where they take videos of somebody, like the most recent one I saw was Herman Cain giving a bunch of speeches, and they overdub it with another voice saying what it if you didn't hear his voice, what it would look like he was saying from lip reading. And it matches exactly, but of course it's not what he's saying. It's crazy stuff. It's crazy stuff. I really enjoy these internet YouTube memes and stuff. There's so much creativity. There's so much talent out there. So many funny people. And YouTube has given the fact that this digital technology is cheap, the cameras are cheap, and YouTube gives you a free and easy way to spread the word. This has just given all these people a voice that, who's going to, this guy who does the bad lip reading, he would never have an opportunity to get on Saturday Night Live or anywhere else. And now he's huge. Same thing with the literal trailers. I think it's fantastic. It should be an inspiration to all of us, especially if you're young. This is a great time to be a creative person. All right, we were in Canberra, Australia. Now we're going to go to Moscow, Russia, Moskva. John, or is it Ivan? Welcome, Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
No, I am John.
You're actually an American in Russia.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And I've been living here for a while, and I don't know anything about mobile phones in the U.S., and I want to move back soon.
It's changed a lot probably since you left. When did you leave the U.S.?
Okay, yeah. And it's late here, and I got to be quiet.
Okay. I won't shout.
What I want to know is for smartphones, and I've also got an iPad with 3G.
Okay.
And I'm hearing you say that data plans.
Oh, we're getting some Skype stuff. So you've got a 3G data plan undoubtedly with a Russian carrier on your iPad, and you have probably a Russian smartphone. Do you want to take your existing phone back to the U.S. with you, or you want to get a phone in the U.S. when you get here? I think the KGB has found him. I think he was on Skype, and I think we've lost the Skype connection. So let me talk a little bit about this. It's funny. We usually get this question in reverse. I'm going to Russia. What should I do? How do I get a smartphone? What do I do? So presuming, John, that you have a 3G iPad, Those are GSM, I would imagine, in Russia. I doubt you have a CDMA. So you can, in fact, get a new micro SIM for this iPad. It's an iPad 2. There's a little micro SIM slot on it somewhere that you can open up and put a new SIM card in there. Otherwise, it would be unusable in the U.S. You certainly wouldn't, even if it did work, you wouldn't want to use it because it would be data roaming. And I don't know about Russian carriers, but boy, when you data roam with an American carrier in Russia, they kill you. In fact, when the iPhone first came out, there were cries of horror from people who had $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 data bills when they got back after just a month because they didn't realize that they were roaming on the data plan, and that's really the most expensive. So what I would suggest is replacing the SIMs both in your phone and your iPad so that you can use a U.S. carrier. If you have an unlocked GSM phone, those are the two phrases you need, unlocked and GSM. I'm sure you have GSM. If it's unlocked, then when you get to the U.S., you can go to AT&T or T-Mobile, two U.S. carriers, and there are a lot of smaller GSM carriers as well, and say, I want to set up an account. I've got my phone. I just need a SIM card. And they will literally do that for you in the store. They'll put a new SIM card in. They'll set up your account. If it's a smartphone, they'll set up a data plan for you, and you'll be good to go. That's one of the nice things about GSM phones. There is one little catch, and I'm not sure. It depends on the phone you have. GSM frequencies, the frequency the phone uses in the U.S., may be different from the frequencies your phone in Russia uses. That could be a problem, could not. Most phone companies that make, companies like Samsung, LG, and HTC that make phones these days will put multiple bands in the phone. If it's a tri-band or quad-band phone, you won't have trouble. But if it's a phone that was made for the Russian market that only supports Russian frequencies, you may not be able to use it in the U.S. So it does get a little bit more complicated. I think you're going to be all right. Russia is, SQ Freak in our chat room is telling me, Russia is 900 and 1800 megahertz GSM, and they do have some CDMA. So 900 and 1800 is very common. That's T-Mobile's frequencies are the same, so you should be all right. I would go to T-Mobile and get a SIM, and your phone should work, and then you're just going to have to wing it with the iPad. So good luck. We'll welcome you back. Nicholas in Baltimore, you're next. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Nicholas.
Hi, Leo. How's your Sunday going?
It's fine. And by the way, SQ Freak says, no, T-Mobile is not 1800, it's 1900. I'm sorry. Is AT&T 1800, SQ Freak? We'll find out for you. Go ahead, Nicholas.
Well, first of all, Leo, I just wanted to say it's great to talk to you. I've been a big fan since the Tech TV days.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, I'm looking to get into app development for the iPad and the iPhone.
Excellent.
And obviously, I need some kind of Mac to run Apple's SDK.
Yes, unfortunately.
So I wanted to call in and get your opinion. I've narrowed it down because I want portability. So I want either the MacBook Air or the MacBook Pro. And I wanted to get your opinion as to whether the MacBook Air would be sufficient to run the SDK,
or if
I should upgrade to a Pro.
Absolutely. Hang on, we'll talk about it. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. The Spy Who Loved Me, Carly Simon. Boy, okay, I got to explain this. See, Kyle Benham is just bored to tears. He's got to sit there 3 hours Saturday, 3 hours Sunday, listening to me gab. So he entertains himself. He amuses himself. He, as our musical director, by trying to pick obscure songs to play when we come back from every break. And then the game, and you can all play this at home, is to try to figure out what the heck it has to do with anything that happened on the show. And I think I got that one. I should get a little gold star on my forehead, Kyle. Kyle does put together a playlist of all the songs he plays. He puts it up on his Google Plus account, Kyle Benham, B-E-N-H-A-M. But you can also get it on our website, techguylabs.com. I think we put up a Spotify playlist, so if you have a Spotify account, you don't even have to have the songs. You just press the button and the stuff will play. Continuing on, we were talking with Nicholas in Baltimore, who has a laudable ambition. He wants to become an app programmer for iPhone and iPad, and Apple does give away the tools. You do have to pay $99 a year to be a member of the developers program, but the tools are free, but you have to have a Mac. Doesn't have a Mac. Wants to know, should he get a MacBook or a MacBook Air? I'm a big fan of the Air. If I got and the SDK, the Xcode and all that works just fine. The Air is very powerful. I would look at maybe if you want more screen real estate, the 13-inch Air. It'll be a little easier to use the integrated development environment, Xcode, because you'll have more screen real estate. Yeah, but I like the Air because it's light, it's fast. The newer Airs, you can even get. I just bought a 13-inch Air, and I upgraded for $100 to an i7. 4 gigs of RAM, i7. That's a powerful machine. More than enough to develop.
And with regards to, say, the hard drives, obviously the MacBook Pros have the 500, 750 gigabytes. If I'm exclusively using it for development,
plenty of room. Plenty of room.
Okay.
Xcode is, I'm trying to remember what the environment is, maybe as many as 50 gigabytes. The Airs come with from 64 to 256 gigabyte solid-state drives. And typically solid-state drives are more expensive, lower capacity. What you gain is incredible speed. And compilation speed, by the way, will be a lot faster. That means your iteration, your turnaround time will be faster. So it's a nice development environment. I think you'll like it. Unless you put music or videos on the thing, 64 gigabytes is enough. But I would get maybe 128. If you get the 13-inch, yeah, at least 128. But yeah, unless you're starting to put a lot of other data on there, that's plenty.
And you're saying definitely 4 gigabytes of RAM?
Yes.
Okay. What about? I mean, would there be any need for me to have the like the DVD and the Ethernet port if I'm just using it for development?
I have both. I don't think you'll use the optical drive. I think Apple's, as always, a little ahead of the game, dumping the optical drives. There are no optical drives in their Airs, and I never noticed that. I don't miss it. On the other hand, I would get an Ethernet adapter because there's no Ethernet adapter on this. They offer fairly inexpensively a USB to Ethernet. It has Wi-Fi, but there are times when you'd like to be wired.
Mm-hmm. So you'd think definitely try to upgrade for the i7?
I don't know, definitely. I mean, I'm kind of crazy that way. I got 256 gig hard drive. I got 4 gigs of RAM. I got an i7. I maxed it out. But I don't think you need to do the development you're talking about.
Okay. And what about durability? Any issues with the Air?
No, in fact, it's more durable, I think. I think the unibody aluminum chassis that they use is nice because there's no loose parts. I put it in these Incipio Featherlight cases. They're little plastic shells. The reason being the aluminum, as nice it is dents and dings pretty easily. So having it in a shell case just keeps it a little more pristine. As far as durability, there's no moving parts. So I think these Airs, I think they're actually more reliable than a hard drive based laptop. But back it up. But always back it up.
Of course.
Put carbonite on there.
Well, thanks for your help, Leo. I really appreciate it.
Good luck. What's the app?
I don't want to give it away.
Oh, good. You're going to take over the world, I hope.
Until I get it out there.
That's great.
But I'll definitely let you know.
Please do. Call in and let us know.
Okay.
Thanks Nicholas.
A lot, Leo.
I'm very excited. I mentioned this new social network. So Dave Morin is a guy who used to work for Facebook. It's kind of interesting. He left Facebook to start a company called Path, raised something like $28 million in venture funding. Path was an iPhone app that had a very odd idea. It was about a year ago. You could only have 50 friends. Otherwise, it was just like Facebook, but you could only have 50 friends. He's since upped that to 150 friends, and just this week, Path 2.0 came out. I used Path initially when it came out, unimpressed. I thought, why would I want to limit myself? But the new Path is really good. It's interesting. There's no web interface. I think he probably made an unofficial deal with Mark Zuckerberg. All right, I won't do the desktop. I won't get in your way, but I would like to do a social network, and I have to say I'm loving it. You can have 150 friends. You can share photos, videos, pictures, just plain text, the songs you're listening to. You even tap a button when it's time to go to bed, and you tell all your friends, I'm going to sleep. and it'll put a little moon, and it says you're asleep. And when you're done sleeping, you say, "Okay, I'm awake now," and let your friends know, "Oh, Leo woke up." It'll even, if you turn it on, say where you are at all times. I have friends who are traveling right now. I can see their pictures. I can see where they're going, see what they're doing. I really like this. And 150 is, for most people, I think, enough friends, right? Path. It's free, and I love this iPhone and Android phone. And if you post on Path, if you post a picture or a video on Path, you can cross-share it to Foursquare, Twitter, Facebook, or Tumblr. So I like that, too, because I always get nervous when I post something onto a single network, even if it's Facebook, that there aren't copies of that data somewhere else. What if Facebook decided to go away, or Tumblr decided to go away, or Foursquare, or Twitter? Then all of my stuff would be there. So this is nice because you can cross-post to a couple of different sites, and they have copies of your pictures and your text and your posts. I think that's kind of cool. I know Web 2378 says, yeah, like I need another social network. Nobody's looking for one. But I think this is kind of fun, and I'm particularly enjoying using it during the holidays as people travel and they're out and about, and then you see lots of great pictures. It uploads full-quality versions of the pictures, too. It doesn't squish them, which is kind of neat. 8888 Ask Leo, that's the number. Mark's in San Diego, California, listening on our brand-new affiliate down there, KOGO. Kogo. Hi, Mark.
Hi, Leo. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Well, I'm pretty good. In October, I bought a new iMac flat screen, and I was using that to video chat with my daughter up in the Bay Area, actually, and my granddaughter, who's 20 months old.
Oh, that's the perfect use for it, isn't it?
Yeah, because now when I do see her face to face, she knows who I am, so it's really good.
Love that.
Anyway, we were using Gmail to video chat, and then all of a sudden, about a month and a half ago, they got my sound and they got my picture, but all I got from them was sound. I couldn't get a picture. And I tried a couple of other things. We tried Skype and I tried Yahoo, and the only thing that would work is the Apple iChat. And I'm wondering if there's some setting that somehow I messed up.
I'm thinking it's a security setting. I'm not sure, but hold on. We'll talk when we come back. I got to take a break. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. You got me on the stump me, Kyle.
Yeah, it's a stretch. When I look at you.
When I look at you. Oh, because his camera's not working. I get it. I get it. Really good. Fooled me. We were talking with Mark in San Diego. He likes to chat with his granddaughter, but the camera doesn't seem to be working for him.
Camera works because if I click on FaceTime, another Apple program.
But it only works with Apple programs, apparently.
Apparently.
Yeah.
And yeah.
If you reboot the computer, does it start working again? I'll tell you why. Only one program at a time can use the camera. And it's not unusual, especially on Apples for some reason, for a program to grab the camera. Maybe FaceTime or iChat's grabbed the camera.
On startup?
On startup, and then the other program says, well, I can't get it. What, do you get an error message when you try to start up video?
No, it just, I get a kind of a orange-colored screen where the picture should be. Perfect sound.
Interesting. Yeah, I would try restarting it, making sure that FaceTime and iChat are not running.
It's not outgoing. They get me, but I can't see them.
Okay, I'm sorry. So it's not your camera going to them, it's their camera coming to you.
Yeah.
And their software says, now they're using FaceTime at their end too, though, right?
Yeah.
So same issue.
So,
but instead of you restarting, they need to restart.
Well, it works on, that works on iChat, but it does, we use
See, what I
email.
think has happened, and Apple's programs are kind of known for doing this, is either iChat or FaceTime are grabbing the camera on startup. So they're working, but you try to run Skype or Google Talk or something else, it goes, Now, they should be, if that's the case, though, they would usually get an error saying, I can't get the camera, or I can't start the camera.
Yeah, they didn't say that they were getting that, so it's
okay.
It's kind of perplexing.
You might try reinstalling the Google Talk.
On both sides?
Yeah, on their side for sure, but it wouldn't hurt to reinstall on your side. There's a plug-in. You need to do that.
Yeah. Okay.
Web3548 in our chat room says, I had the same problem, called Apple. They said the drivers hadn't been updated.
The drivers.
I don't know what that means exactly. Make sure, I'm sure you're doing this, that your and her computer are regularly updated with software update. There have been a number of lately security issues with Macs. You do want to make sure you're running software update.
I do that for sure. I'll make sure.
Yeah, make sure she is.
And we'll reinstall it and give it a go.
And I would do a reinstall, exactly. Maybe even get the latest Flash.
Okay.
Because actually, Gtalk doesn't use Flash, I don't think, and I know FaceTime and iChat do not. So maybe it's not. The other issue that this happens sometimes, it doesn't usually happen on Macs, but on Windows machines, is security software. Security software will often block incoming connections. You didn't recently start running some security software on your system, did you?
No, I did afterwards. I'm using ESET now.
So make sure that it's not blocking the ports you need for that kind of video. You might
we'll give it a go.
Yeah, you might disable that security software. ESET's very good, but you might disable it. If it was happening before, then it's probably not that. So there's some things to use to look at. Bomb Shelter 13 in our chat room says iChat does in fact automatically use the built-in camera. The others are Flash, and in Flash the camera is selectable. So it may be that they have the wrong camera selected. That's if they're not very sophisticated, they might not know. But you can look in the Flash settings and choose which camera is being used, and it may be that they're not using the right camera. That's why you're getting orange. Just a couple of things to look at. Larry, Westminster, California. You're next. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Larry.
Geez, what an honor this is.
Are you being sarcastic?
No, sir. You turned me into a 65-year-old techno geek.
Wonderful.
Leo, I recently purchased an iPhone S, the new model.
Oh, good. How do you like it?
It's super. It's just great.
Do you find yourself talking to Siri much?
Yes, it works super.
You know, it blows me away. I thought Siri was going to be a gimmick because we've used for years software that let us command the phone, and I always use it a little bit and then say, yeah, never mind. I remember my BlackBerry did that, and of course my Android phones do that. But Siri somehow works.
It does. Even in the message format, you just dictate the message
yes.
and it goes.
In fact, it works so well that when Siri doesn't work, which it does lately, the servers are down or whatever, it drives me crazy. No, you've got to work.
I know.
Well, what can I do? It's very nice of you. Thank you, Larry. What can I do to help you now?
What I have, the provider I have with the iPhone is Sprint, and I'm on a family plan with my daughter who's she's got everything on the plan, so I kind of fall under.
Well, and that's nice because Sprint's the last carrier that carries iPhones that gives you unlimited data.
Right.
So that's a good deal.
Yeah. Here's the problem. I travel to the Philippines about 3 times a year, and this iPhone is not a GSM phone.
Did you check with Sprint to make sure? Because I know the Verizon phone that they're selling is. I believe all the iPhone 4Ss are dual mode.
Okay.
So I would check with Sprint. With Verizon, what you do, because Verizon, like Sprint, is a CDMA carrier. With Verizon, what you do is you say, I'm going international, and they'll put a SIM card in it.
Oh.
And I think, unless I'm completely mistaken, that all 3 carriers are selling the same hardware.
Oh, okay.
So check with Sprint to make sure.
All right, because I was using a Nokia E72 when I
Right.
traveled over there, and I just bought the local SIM card.
Right.
And I didn't know if I could do that with this phone or...
Well, even if you can, it's a micro SIM.
Oh, okay.
So it's not going to be the same form factor. You'd have to cut it down.
All right.
But I believe if you go to the Sprint store, there's some discussion in the chat room that Terry H. says Sprint disabled the SIM slot, but then KQ6DQ Dave says Sprint will unlock the SIM on request. I think that they probably will.
Okay.
Just tell them I want international capability. But you won't be able to get a Philippine SIM card in there unless you cut it down.
Okay.
You can get a SIM card cutter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because it really it's just it's extra cardboard. It's not any of the working parts. And a SIM card cutter is nice because it makes a nice clean cut that you can then take that SIM and use it full-sized or micro.
Oh, okay. All right.
So I'd get a cutter and then try it in the Philippines. I think you should be able to use it.
Okay, great. Leo, thanks for what you have done for my brain over the years.
My pleasure.
All right.
It's great to talk to you, Larry. Enjoy your travels. And Magadang Gabi. I'm told that says something. I don't know. I hope it says. I hope it's not anything bad. That's what I get. I read the chat room, and whatever they tell me to say, I just say it. This is a bad policy. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number. We're going to have another hour to come with lots more of your calls, questions, and my answers and bad Tagalog. 8888 Ask Leo. The website with links to everything I talk about and more, thanks to James DeRuvo, is at techguylabs.com. Techguylabs.com. You'll also find a link there to the chat room. So we'd love it if you go in there and tell me things to say, and I'll just say them. That's half the fun of it. Half the fun of it. There's also links to previous shows, 827 of them, audio of most, video of some. And a link to our podcast network, TWiT. By the way, I am, as I said, tomorrow heading off to Paris. Next weekend, Scott Wilkinson will be here, our home theater expert. Scott will do both days, so if you've got home theater questions, get them ready for Scott. He'll be answering them all day, Saturday and all day Sunday on the radio show. One more hour to come. You stay right here. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Well, hey, how are you? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. And it's time to talk computers, the internet, cell phones, camcorders, MP3 players, home theater, all that jazz. If you have a question, a comment, a suggestion, will you just give me a ring right now? Let's talk about it. 8888 Ask Leo. We've been talking a lot about cell phones. There's all sorts of topics. Speaking of phones, let's talk to Earl in Granada Hills, California. He's next. Hi, Earl. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hello, Earl. Yeah, I'm good. Welcome.
Yeah. This is Earl.
So you're about to buy a new phone, huh?
Yeah, I'm looking to upgrade from my Droid X. You recommended the Droid. I got the Droid. Now I want to upgrade to a 4G phone.
Ah, so you're on Verizon. Droid X was an excellent phone. Really liked it. Do you like that big screen?
Yeah, I do, but I've had a couple problems with one with the music coming on at times, and I'm on the phone, and other times, and I'm having memory problems.
I think those are specific to the Motorola hardware.
Yeah. So I'm looking at the HTC Resound, and I'm wondering if I should get that one or wait till that has a 1.5 gigabyte dual processor.
Yeah, it's fast.
Or wait for the new Nexus.
That's a great question. The Resound, they're focusing on sound. They come with Beats, the Beats headphones from Dr. Dre. It's got a big screen, too. What is it? It's 4.5?
4.3. I think it's 4.3.
Okay.
It's a little bit smaller. Looks smaller than the new the Droid, what is it, the Bionic one? Not the Bionic.
Yeah, the Bionic is, they have a number of 4.5s, and actually there's a couple of even bigger. And I do think the Nexus is 4 3/4 or 4.6 inches. It's a huge.
Yeah, but I was looking at the new Razer, but it doesn't have the replaceable battery.
I do not like the Razer. There's something about the styling of it that I just do not like.
Plus, it's only a 1.2.
Well, let me tell you about that. You're not going to notice a difference. You're not. In fact, the iPhone 4S is dual core, underclocked to 800 megahertz, much slower than the iPad. I don't notice a difference. I think this whole, super fast cell phone thing, it's kind of overblown. Anything a gigahertz, dual core gigahertz or better, you're fine.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them are 1.2 now. As you said, there's some 1.5s. The Galaxy Nexus here now. You're on Verizon. My sources at Verizon say Friday, December 9th. They'll put that on sale. If you can wait, I would, because what I'd like you to do is go into a Verizon store and hold all three of them up and decide.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got to hold the other ones today, but it's not the new.
Yeah, I would look. Now, here's why you might want to wait for the Nexus. First of all, not only is it a big screen, it's very thin. This is how they're solving that big screen problem. They're just making them super thin so you don't feel like it's a giant phone. It's just got a lot of screen. So it's very thin. It also is the highest resolution phone on the market, 1280 by 720. That means you can watch a 720p high-def movie in native resolution on the screen. And at 4 points, whatever it is, 6 inches, that's awesome. That's going to look fantastic. I'm sorry, you say again?
It's coming out with ice cream.
And that's going to be the biggest thing, yes. It has the latest version of Android. Now, the Resound and the Razr will absolutely get ice cream sandwich at some point. But this one has it, and it's the first one out. It's also a pure Google experience phone. That means that Samsung hasn't put on top of it this layer of TouchWiz that other Samsung phones have. HTC has its own layer. They all have their own kind of special sugar they put on top of it. And frankly, I think the pure Google experience is actually the best experience. So
yeah, I use a lot of that.
Yeah, so I think this is going to be a very desirable phone. Let me put it this way. I've ordered one. So I'm putting my money where my mouth was. It wasn't cheap either. I had to order it from England, and I think it was $750. But I ordered one because I think that this is going to be the premier Android phone going forward. But haven't tried it yet. Haven't seen it yet. You know, for instance, with the Resound, we're starting to hear people complain about some hardware issues. You just don't know until you have it and play with it for a while. So I will give you my review of the Nexus in a couple of weeks when I get back. I think it's going to be the hot phone. I think it all looks positive, but I can't tell you for sure. So that's why I think the best thing to do, Earl, is to wait. Wait till Friday, and then you'll be able to hold all three, and you can make that informed decision. You know, wait as long as you can. By the way, it will not be $750 from Verizon. You'll get a subsidized version of it. They haven't set a price yet. I'm guessing $250 with a brand new 2-year contract. That's pretty much what all the newer Android phones are going for, is $250. It's a tough decision now, isn't it? There's a lot of good choices out there. George, Illinois, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, George.
Hey, how are you doing?
I am well. How are you?
Hey, doing pretty good. I have a question for you, and I have a note taker down in Texas. She's going to be listening.
What's her name? What's her name?
Oh, her name's Sandy.
Sandy, write this all down now, Sandy.
That's right. Write it all down. We've got iPhones, and several people I know have iPhones, and we get animated text messages that have, you know, animations and WAV files, and for whatever reason, iPhones won't do them. Is there a way to
yeah, because that's not a standard feature of text messaging. So whatever phone's doing the animation, that's something we call proprietary, something that was added on by that phone's manufacturer. Who's sending those animations?
Different people. I mean, I used to get them, you know, from different friends of mine when I had a BlackBerry, and it would play them. You know, whether they came from a Motorola phone or whatever. This is stuff people are pulling off the internet, jokes and that kind of stuff. You know, we got a Happy Thanksgiving animation with a turkey doing something crazy, and it had a WAV file that was attached to it, and we could open the animation, but it wouldn't animate, but we couldn't listen to the WAV file.
There are those who would say that is why I bought an iPhone. I didn't want any animated turkeys in my text messaging. I'm not sure how they're doing it. I would guess they are animated GIF files, and that probably there are attached waves. This is not an ideal situation because these are massive files being sent, which means it's using a lot of your bandwidth. I think you're probably talking about, if you're not talking about email, he said messaging, so maybe he's talking about MMS messaging. iPhones do them. The iPhones do MMS. It might be, I don't know, it might be you have to tap it to get it to play or something like that, or save it out and get it to play. I guess it's just a limitation on the iPhone, George. It probably is just a different implementation of MMS. I know they do MMS. They didn't for a long time. It's only recently that iPhones supported this multimedia message system. I don't know what to tell you. I think if it doesn't play it, it doesn't play it. That's the Apple way, right? Our way or the highway. If you They don't do flash either, do they? If there were flash attachments, then they wouldn't work. I think that's probably, it's either flash or it's an animated GIF, and it just doesn't work. 8888, Ask Leo. Now, there are, by the way, some messaging systems that you could put on the iPhone, but the problem is your friends would have to use it too. Things like GroupMe, Kik. There are a number of these, but I don't even know if they'd work if it were flash. 8888, Ask Leo. That's the phone number. TechGuyLabs.com is the website. The chat room is live and kicking. Speaking of kicking, almost 1,000 people in there, and if you join it, then it will be 1,000. We'd love to have you. TechGuyLabs.com. Just click on the link. When we come back from the break, Randy's in Tustin. He has an old desktop running Windows ME. He's worried about security. He should be. We'll talk about it when we come back. Stay here. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. We have a pre-song. My security has never been enough for me. Leads us to our caller from Randy, Tustin, California. Hi, Randy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Leo.
Hey, welcome to the show.
Today, I love your program.
Thank you. Are you on a speakerphone? If you could pick up, that'd be good. You're cutting in and out.
Okay, just a sec.
I understand people put us on speakerphone because the hold time is so long. So I'm not mad. Are you there?
Is that it?
Yep.
Okay. I took your advice a couple years ago when I got my HP Mini, and I installed Nod 32 as the antivirus. And so recently when I inherited a desktop compact Pizzerio back in the year, I guess, old one from 2001, which was replaced in 2002, I found a setback when wanting to use this computer to install a new antivirus.
Yeah, because it's Windows ME, right?
Windows ME. So
yeah, basically, there's no way to make that a secure computer.
Well, when I went to the Nod 32...
Yeah, listen to me again. There's no way to make that a secure computer. You can't put Nod 32 on it, but even if you could, there's no way to make that a secure... Did I say that enough? There's no way to make that a secure computer because Microsoft has abandoned Windows ME. That means all the security flaws people discover in there will not be patched. There's no way to make that a secure computer. You understand me, Randy? So you got to, I don't mean throw it out, but you can't run Windows ME on it. So what I would do, it's so old, it's 10 years old, you know, you're not going to be able to put any more modern version of Windows on it either. Microsoft would like you to throw it out or recycle it or something. My suggestion, if you want to keep the hardware going, is to put Linux on it. It's a free open source operating system. It's very good. In fact, so good you probably don't need an antivirus or any security on it. It's secure. But what I would do is you got to find a Linux that will work on that older hardware as well, probably Ubuntu. So this is what I would do. You'll need to download this on your newer computer, xubuntu.org. Download it. You could put it on a US, well, let's see, on that old computer. I hope you have a CD drive. If you do and you can boot from it, you'll put on your new computer, you'll burn the CD with Xubuntu on there, put it in the old computer CD, reboot, launch, install, wipe out that hard drive, and that computer, believe it or not, I mean, as much as old as it is plenty fast enough for things like surfing the net and so forth, if you could get a modern operating system on it. The problem is Microsoft won't sell you one. You have to really use Linux for this. Barb in La Quinta, California. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Barb. Is it me?
Hello?
Hello, Barb.
Hey, Leo.
Hey, Barb. How are you?
I'm great. Bonjour.
Bonjour, madame.
Yes. I had a computer crash. Luckily, I had an external hard drive. Loaded the stuff on my new Lenovo, thanks to you.
Oh, you like that?
Yes, I got the Z570.
Excellent.
The idea pad. I had never heard of this computer if it weren't for you.
Well, I bet you've heard of, maybe you have, of ThinkPads. Lenovo bought IBM's ThinkPad business, and these idea pads are their spiritual successors.
And I love it. Love it.
Good.
Love it, love it.
Good.
Thank you. Thank you for your recommendation.
Excellent.
But now, everything loaded except for, and no laughing now, my favorite game, which is TriPeaks, which I had, and it will not...
So what does it say? Does it say I can't run on this system?
It says the version of this file is not compatible with the version of Windows you're running.
Ah.
Check your computer system. Well,
And you're running Windows 7, of course.
And I went to the troubleshooter, and it said to put in the version of Windows that this was running on before, is the way I understood it.
Well, yeah, okay. So, first of all, I would go see... TriPeaks is a solitaire game. I would go see if you can get a newer version of TriPeaks for Windows 7. That would be your best bet.
Well, I didn't know if, because I had a score on there.
Oh, well, that you're going to lose no matter what, because that score isn't with the application. It's stored on the old computer. So you could, with a little help, you might be able to find that data file, move that over. You do need a newer version of TriPeaks, but the data file is probably the same format with the newer versions and the older versions. So what you could do is find TriPeaks, download a new copy of it that's made for Windows 7. Yours is probably made for Windows XP. And then copy over the data files, which should be somewhere on your old hard drive. Probably, if it's an older program, it may store it in its own folder, its own directory on the old hard drive. If it's a newer program, nowadays what Windows programs do or try to do is save the games into a saved games folder in your documents folder. So look in My Documents, see if there's a saved games folder, see if there's a folder in there called TriPeaks. If there is, you're golden. You just copy that over to the new computer. If there's not, then you might have to do a little searching. It depends on how much you want those old scores. You don't have to get a new copy of TriPeaks. I just would look first, because it's the easiest thing to do is to get a Windows 7 compatible version. If they didn't make one and you really want to run this, there is something called compatibility mode on Windows 7. And you can install it in compatibility mode. It'll trick TriPeaks. It'll say, I'm XP. And TriPeaks will say, oh, good, because I only understand XP. And then they'll work even though it's not XP. What you can do is copy TriPeaks onto there. I think right-click on the icon and select compatibility mode from the properties, and it'll give you a variety of different things it can pretend to be. But this is not as good as getting the newer version. And I would imagine if it's a popular game, you'd be able to get a newer version of it. Good luck, Barb. Let's see. David in Woodland Hills, California. We're going to have time to start, but we'll have to answer after the break. I just have about 30 seconds. Hi, David.
Hi, Leo. How are you doing?
Great. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks so much. Thanks so much. Hey, so I wanted to tell you a story of woe. I know you're a big update supporter, and I do what you do for little customers. And I had a customer that their webmail got hacked. And one of the things the hacker did was delete all of their contacts. And so we've been back and forth with AT&T and Yahoo, and they won't do anything for us. And I didn't expect that they would, but we tried.
Worth a try.
But one of the things that you don't talk about, and that I never thought about, was getting folks to go on their webmail and export their contacts list.
Probably a good proactive thing to do. I agree.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, I know you're the best source of getting stuff out to lots and lots of people. So I wanted to share that with you and, get you to talk about that.
Remind people backing up doesn't just mean stuff on your hard drive. If you have a lot of web stuff, back that up too. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. It's a very good point. Now I'm going to slurp. Actually, before I slurp, may I tell you about Gazelle? How many of you are going to get a new... Are you going to get the Nexus? I am. Maybe you have an old phone you want to get rid of, upgrade. The problem is, of course, who has time to list stuff on eBay? You could sell it on eBay. Wouldn't it be nice if you could just send it to somebody who would give you cash for your old gadget? Guess what? That's what I'm about to tell you about. Gazelle.com. You've heard me talk about Gazelle. Don't sell it, gazelle it. Just go to GAZELLE.com and you can recycle the easy way. Now, they say recycle, but really what you're going to do is get cash for this old gadget. What was that guy had a Nokia E72. I wonder if that's worth anything. Probably not. Let's see. Just out of curiosity. So you enter it in. You could see that it knew about Nokia E72s. They have hundreds of thousands of gadgets in their database. 20 product categories, 200,000 unique items. You'll fill out a form that says what condition it is. It's free of water damage. Yeah, I have all this stuff. They have data experts that will get your phone, examine it, and validate that. And also, and this is, I think, really useful, wipe any data off of it before they sell it. And there you go. Now, there's your offer. You add it to your box. Now, that's a pretty old phone. What if you had, let's say, an Android phone that you wanted to upgrade to the Galaxy Nexus? Let's do that. Let's say I have, what did he have? Was it a Droid X? How about that? You just add these to the box. They print out a mailing label for you. You don't pay for shipping. They wipe your data. And, oops, Motorola Razr. Oh, that's interesting. What if you bought the Bionic and you were sorry? I know a few people like that. The camera's really slow. Oh, that's the old Razr. Look at that, the flip phone. So that one was so old that they couldn't offer you any money. So what they do is they recycle it. They recycle it, and they do it in a responsible green way. They don't ship it overseas. They don't put it in the landfill. Let's do this again. It was, let's try Bionic. They'll have that. And there was no old Bionic, right? What is wrong with my keyboard? Something is wrong here. Bionic. There we go. Let me just check. Okay. No noticeable flaws. Let's just check the boxes here. Free of water damage. I got the stuff. $151. Yeah, it's going to get you most of the way towards your new phone. Don't you love that? So I'm going to add that to the box. You know, once you start adding to the box, you can't stop. You go through your closets, your drawers, you find all sorts of stuff. You may end up getting thousands of dollars back. I just love it. So go to Gazelle.com. If it's got no value, they will responsibly recycle it. If it has value, they will give you either cash, an Amazon gift card, a PayPal transfer, a Walmart gift card. If you do the Amazon gift card, you get 5% rebate bonus on that. Or you can ask Gazelle to donate the value of your gadget to a charity. In fact, Gazelle's great for charities. You can have gadget drives instead of bake sales and make a lot of money. You can get a dedicated page at Gazelle.com. Give it a try. Find some old stuff lying around the house. It's worth money. Gazelle. Don't sell it. Gazelle it.
I ain't afraid of no ghosts.
Kyle said, don't ask me why I'm playing this. It's just because it's good. All right. That's good reason. Kyle Benham, our musical director. He ain't afraid of no ghosts. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number if you have a question, a comment, a suggestion. You want to talk high-tech, I'd like to talk high-tech with you. 888-827-5536. A little bit more time. Another half hour to go in the show. And David called us from Woodland Hills. We ran out of time. But, David, I agree with you 100%. If you've got information on the web, backing up your hard drive does not back that up. And I think a very good idea to back up your contact list from your webmail, whether it's Yahoo Mail or if you've got SBC or whatever.
Yeah, these folks were, long-time Prodigy customers, 20 years.
Prodigy.
Yeah, Prodigy.net, believe it or not.
Oh, my goodness. And they got transferred to Yahoo from that?
Yeah, I guess, the mergers and acquisitions and whatever, that's where it ended up with AT&T, Yahoo.
Wow.
But, and you could imagine the address book list that they must have had. And after all those years, I spent several hours on the phone.
Oh, they must have been in tears. They must have been in tears.
Yeah, they're beside themselves.
Oh.
But pretty much all of the services that are webmail based, you can export that contact list, and I really think people ought to really do it.
Yep. Thank you for the tip, David. Another way to do this, perhaps, and I know a lot of people who have webmail they like it because they just use their browser to get their email. But, you can use your email program, Outlook, Windows Live Mail, Apple's mail program, to get your Yahoo Mail or your other mail and download it locally. And it will also have your address book as a result. And that is another way to do this, which is actually have a copy of your mail on your desktop as well as on the server. So not a bad idea. But I appreciate your reminder, David. I think that's a very good one. If you're using a web-based mail system and you really have a big contact list that you've built up there and the only copies on the web, you might say, well, Google, Yahoo, they'd never delete that. They've got lots of backups. What if a bad guy gets in and does it? That's what happened to these guys. Gary in Fullerton, Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Leo, how are you, sir?
I am well. How are you?
I'm well. Long-time listener, long-time viewer back in the ZDNet days and ZDTV.
Thank you.
I have a question. Yes, a question about tablets.
All right.
I'm looking at a possible gift and thinking about the Asus Transformer, and I like the option of having that snap-on keyboard with the additional storage space and battery life.
Yeah, so it's barely a tablet. It's really almost an Android laptop, isn't it?
It is. It's I believe it's running Honeycomb, and it's got the option for the, like I said, keyboard on there, which is great. It's for a holiday gift. No one's listening to us right now, are they?
No. Shh.
Okay. Exactly.
So you want to give this to somebody?
Quite possibly. I've got a notebook that is on its last stages. Oddly enough, when it plays video on the web, it shuts itself down. There's a fan problem, but
yeah, it's getting old.
We're looking for a replacement, and we don't do too much word processing, things like this. It would be for Facebook, maybe the Kindle app to read some books, this type of thing. But I just want to get your thoughts.
Well, there's three. In my opinion, there are two primary tablets. Of course, there's the iPad. That's the champagne. That's the way to to go if you want the most elegant, the most mature, the best designed tablet. Then if you want to save money, I think the $200 Kindle Fire, which is a very highly customized Android tablet, is excellent. I really like the Kindle Fire. I think the size is nice, the form factor is nice. But there is this kind of third choice that you bring up, which is an Android tablet, the Asus Transformer, that docks to a keyboard and is kind of really like an Android-based laptop, as well as a tablet. I don't think Android makes a very good tablet operating system, to be honest. I don't think it's very mature. However, this is not a bad way to go. I would wait if you can, because December 19th, Asus is going to ship the Transformer Prime. That's going to come out in a couple of weeks. Now, the tablet on the Prime will be $499 for a 32-gigabyte model, $589 for 64 gigs, and then you spend another $150 on the dock. So, in my opinion, it's really ridiculous to spend that kind of money when you could get an iPad for less. But if you really want a keyboard and you really want an Android and you really want all of that, this is going to be nice. This is going to be a beautiful 10.1-inch display. The case itself is very nice. They have something called metallic spun backs that are just beautiful looking. They'll have amethyst gray or champagne gold. It is very thin. It's the thinnest tablet on the market, 8.3 millimeters, 1.29 pounds, very light. And I mean lighter than the iPad and thinner than the iPad by 0.5 millimeters. I know it's a minor difference, but, if you care. Tough Gorilla Glass on the front. Very nice outer casing. I really think that looks good. And here's the biggest deal that the Transformer Prime has over the iPad. The iPad screen resolution, it's a 10.1-inch screen, but it's 1,024 dots across by 768 top to bottom. 1024 by 768. The Prime is 1280 by 800. So it's higher resolution. In fact, it's probably the highest resolution tablet on the market. So it's got a micro SD card slot. It's got a micro HDMI port. It's typical. The way you compete with Apple is by providing more flexibility, because Apple is very straightforward and simple. I still think the iPad is a better tablet. I don't think Android makes a great tablet because I just don't think Honeycomb, the operating system they're shipping, is all that good. It's rough around the edges. But hardware-wise, this thing is insane. It's great. I mean, they've really done a nice job. Asus has made the best hardware tablet out there. I wish it were running iOS, I guess. Then it might be better. I will give you a report on Ice Cream Sandwich when I get an Ice Cream Sandwich phone, but this one is not yet running Ice Cream Sandwich. You know, the Prime, I wonder, they haven't said yet. I suppose they could ship that with Ice Cream Sandwich. That would make it more desirable. And it is, unlike the iPad, which is dual-core, quad-core, some people, the speeds and feeds nutballs will say, wow, I've got 4. That's twice as good as 2 processors. But just like the conversation we had earlier with the speeds on the cell phone, you're not going to notice much of a difference. I think we're going to see all the tablets with quad-core next year, and it's just a selling point. I don't even see that much of a difference between the single-core original iPad and the iPad 2. I guess there is, because there's some apps like GarageBand you really don't want to run on the old iPad. But, you know, I don't think you're going to notice a big difference. It's not like a desktop. It really isn't. But anyway, so do I recommend it? Well, it's a nice tablet. And I would wait for the Prime if you can. The other advantage of waiting for the Prime is the original Asus Transformer will be cheaper, won't it? They'll offer it. There'll be clearance sales on it. So even if you don't want the advanced features of the Prime, you might want to wait just to get a better deal on the Asus Transformer. So good luck, Gary. That's a nice gift for somebody. It really is. Or is it for you? It's a nice gift for yourself. Kevin, Tampa, Florida, you're next. Hi, Kevin. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hello, Mr. Laporte.
Hello. How are you, Kevin?
I'm doing all right. Question. I have a MacBook Pro, and I need to reinstall Lion. I got some problems with it. So I was going to do it from the Restore partition that is now available to us in Lion.
Right.
But I'm afraid, is it going to mess up my boot camp? I mean, is it like Windows where you can go in there and just reinstall one partition and not mess with the others?
Yes. It won't affect boot camp.
It will not. So when I do my Restore, I'm just going to hold down the Command key, select Restore partition, and I'm assuming Apple will walk me through it.
Yeah. Boot camp is a separate partition, so it should be safe. In fact, your data will be safe, too. Apple does a good job of this. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Here it comes. Get ready for the drop. I said, here it comes. Here it comes. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. We're about to take off. Or maybe not.
To Paris.
Oh, I get it. We're going to Paris, yeah. Kevin in Tampa, Florida. Welcome to the Dubstep Tech Guy. What can I do for you, Kevin? Oh, we were talking to you, Kevin. Yes, we answered your question. Yes, you can restore. I'm sorry, I apologize. You can restore Lion without destroying your boot camp partition. Julie in Nevada. Hi, Julie. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great, Julie. How are you?
I'm good. Hey, I just wanted to know what you think about refurbished Mac laptops.
Oh, well, it depends where you get them. But if you're buying them from Apple, thumbs up.
Okay.
The reason that, in general, if you buy refurbs from the manufacturer, especially if they're current models, it's a good idea. If you're buying it from a third party, I don't recommend it. So the reason it's okay from Apple is Apple, by California state law and in other states as well, is not allowed to sell as new a computer that was taken home, the box was opened, and then returned. That happens all the time. People, they either say, well, I don't want that model, or, oh, I shouldn't have spent that money, or whatever, and they bring it back, and Apple can no longer sell it as new. So they sell it as refurb. It has the full warranty. It's a current model. It's from the Apple refurb store. Absolutely.
Okay, great. I will tell my husband.
Yeah, it's actually a really good way to get a Mac. Now the discounts aren't outrageous because it's really a new computer. It's not. There's nothing wrong with it, but they're good. Right. Just save a few $100.
I don't really even know what the prices are. Do you know what the difference is in the prices?
It varies. If you go to Apple's store, you can actually online check the prices.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember. Let me see what if I can find the URL for it. I can't remember if it's store.apple.com/outlet, something like that. Well, you can Google it. You can Google refurbished Mac computers, and then what they do is they show you. They don't have everything. It's whatever's been returned.
Oh, okay.
So in most of these, I'm looking. It's $100, $200, $300 off. 25%, 15%, 12%, that kind of thing.
That's pretty good.
Hey, I'll take it. It's it's better than full price.
That's true.
Just make sure you get a current edition. That's the key, right?
A current edition.
Yeah. So, for instance, I'm looking at a refurbed MacBook Air from October 2010. Now, that's pretty old.
Yeah.
That's not the most recent MacBook Air. Now, that doesn't mean it's used. It still probably was sold open box, but you are getting 26% off as a result. It's a good product. Apple warranties it fully. So there's no negative to it, but it's just not the latest thing. So I'd look for, if you are buying, you probably want to, if you can, get a 2011 product.
Okay. All right. Great.
Enjoy.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Julie. Thanks for calling. I appreciate it. If it's from the manufacturer, usually refurbs does not mean it was heavily used, beat up, they brought it back to the factory, slapped some paint on it, and sold it as refurbed. That usually is not the case. Although, I mean, there are stores, I've heard of stores that sell refurbed hard drives. This I do not recommend, where a hard drive has crashed or died. The store has somehow got it back on its 2 feet and is selling it to you. No, don't do that. That's buying somebody else's problem. Not a good idea. Hey, let's talk, speaking of failed hard drives, let's talk real quickly about backup, and then we're going to get to Denver and Jerry, who's got some questions about SSL. Jerry, Denver, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Jerry.
Hello, Leo. It's cold here in Denver.
Is it? Is it snowing?
Off and on, blowing a little bit of the light powdery stuff.
Wow.
In Internet Explorer, in the Internet properties, all the settings, that's what I love about the Internet Explorer. It's also what I hate about it. They're in the on the Content tab, there's a certification. This is the security certificates.
Right.
There's a button to clear SSL state. Now, when, why, and how, is it clearing something that was put in memory in the server, by the server on a session in a secure connection, or is this something stored on disk, placed there previously by connection to that site?
I am going to refer you to Microsoft support document number 290345.
Okay. Okay.
That's all right. I'll tell you what it says. So the way, first of all, in order to understand what's going on, you have to understand what
the document number.
I'll give it to you, 290345. But here's the deal. It's really very simple. When you go to a website using SSL, that's the secure website, your bank, Amazon.com, it means that it's an encrypted, it's an encrypted connection between you and that site. And they do need to do that when you're exchanging private information like credit card and so forth. The process for that to work involves exchanging information about a certificate. When you go to the server, you say to the server, all right, you say you're Amazon.com, let me see your certificate. The certificate is using high-end encryption technology, public key crypto, is signed by a trusted certificate authority, or CA. So your computer has built into it a list of trusted CAs. Amazon has gone to one of them, said and proven to it through a variety of steps that they are, in fact, Amazon.com. And when you go to that site, it is Amazon. And the CA, the certificate authority, has given them the certificate saying, see, that says you're Amazon. In order for you to establish this encrypted link, they have to give you the certificate. The encryption starts. You can expect the certificate. It's a way of verifying you're really on the site you think you're on. Now, that information is cached because you don't want to have to exchange that all the time. It's only cached until you restart. It's not saved forever and ever. So this button, this clear SSL state button, merely says flush the cache, start over. Any site that I go to from now on, ask for a new copy of the certificate. It's probably something you would never use The button is there probably more as a diagnostic, so that when you call up with saying, I can't get on SSL sites, Microsoft can say, well, press this button. You don't need it, and restarting the computer has the same effect. Those certificates don't persist past a restart anyway. So, in other words, that's what it does. Don't worry about it. You don't need it. No, this is the only, you said I like Explorer because it has all these options. Well, there you go. Sometimes having all those options can be confusing. Actually, all other browsers do the same thing, but they usually hide that information. For instance, in Firefox, if you enter about:config in the browser search bar, or the universal bar, it will then load up a page, actually many pages, of these same kinds of configuration options. And the reason they hide them is probably the same reason Microsoft could have hidden this. It's not necessary. Most people will never worry or need to reset their certs. There is a longer story about certificate authorities. One of them in Holland, DigiNotar, was hacked. In fact, there have probably been more. As a result, Microsoft and Apple and everybody else have had to revoke certificates. But we'll save that for another day because I'm out of time. Thanks for joining me. Have a great Geek Week. I'm Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy.